What if you woke up each morning not knowing if you'd have enough food or what you might have to sell, perhaps even illegally, just to make it through the day? In Cuba, this is the harsh reality many face daily. Women, in particular, must think carefully about maintaining their appearance when something as simple as hair dye can consume a significant portion of their monthly income, often only available on the black market. The streets are filled with people selling whatever they can to survive, turning day-to-day life into a constant hustle. And when a stranger offers to exchange your money, you have to wonder, who can you really trust? Stay with us as we uncover the raw, unseen side of life in Cuba. Cuba, an island of contradictions. Cuba is known for its rich history, culture, and contradictions. Tourists marvel at its beautiful beaches, charming streets lined with vintage cars, and the warmth of its people. But behind the picturesque scenes lies a far more complex reality. For visitors, Cuba might feel like a paradise frozen in time, where they can sip mojitos by the shore or stroll through Havana's colorful streets. The nostalgia of vintage cars, vibrant buildings, and salsa music beckons those curious to explore a culture shaped by decades of a unique political system. However, most visitors never see the day-to-day struggles of ordinary Cubans, who live a life far removed from the freedom and ease found elsewhere. Behind the tourist facade, Cuba is grappling with an economic crisis that stretches far beyond what meets the eye. The country has been under an economic embargo imposed by the United States for over 6 decades. This restriction has limited access to foreign goods, impacted the development of the country's economy, and created widespread shortages of everything from food to medicine. While tourists may see the colorful, well-preserved parts of old Havana, it's important to realize that this is only a small fraction of what life in Cuba really looks like. The struggles of daily life in Cuba. Life in Cuba is a constant battle against shortages, government restrictions, and a lack of basic necessities. Tourists enjoy all-inclusive resorts and curated experiences while locals face rationed food, risky descent, and limited opportunities. The most surprising reality for many outsiders is the phenomenon of long lines and scarcity, not just for luxuries, but for basic needs like food and hygiene products. Since the economic downturn of the 1990s, often referred to as the special period, the Cuban government has struggled to provide for its people. During this time, the collapse of the Soviet Union, Cuba's main economic partner, left the island isolated, plunging it into severe shortages. While Cuba has made some progress since then, many of these issues persist, and Cuban citizens continue to adapt to survive under challenging conditions. In the La Victoria neighborhood of Havana, Plaza de Carlos III is one of the city's largest shopping centers. But it's not the bustling mall experience you might expect. Long lines stretch around the corner as people wait for hours just to enter the store, hoping to find the essentials they need to get through the day. This is a common sight across Cuba, where shortages of goods are an everyday struggle. It's not uncommon for people to line up early in the morning, hoping to buy bread, rice, or even basic toiletries, all while never knowing whether what they need will actually be in stock. Survival through scarcity. Accessing basic goods in Cuba requires immense patience and sacrifice. Cubans often spend entire mornings in lines, with no guarantee that what they need will still be available by the time they reach the front. This resilience is a testament to their ability to survive in a place where waiting in line is a daily routine. It affects every aspect of life, including social interactions and even dating culture. Planning a date often requires standing in line for necessities first. For many Cubans, waiting in line has become second nature. The rationing system known as La Libreta provides basic food items at subsidized prices, but it's often not enough to cover a family's needs. As a result, many turn to the black market to fill in the gaps. Food rationing began in the 1960s as a way to ensure equal distribution of goods, but over time, it has become a symbol of the scarcity that permeates Cuban society. Families plan their days around when stores might receive new stock, constantly adapting to shortages and delays. The impact of these shortages goes beyond the physical act of waiting in line. It shapes the Cuban mindset and sense of community. People often form bonds while waiting for hours together, sharing stories, tips, and laughter to pass the time. It's a shared experience that fosters a sense of solidarity, but also highlights the daily struggle of living in a country where scarcity has become the norm. Cuba's underground economy. In Cuba, the hustle is more than just a side gig. It's often a matter of survival. Government-run stores rarely have all the essentials, and goods are in short supply, leading to a thriving underground economy. Cubans sell whatever they can, whether it's detergent bought in bulk or imported clothes from relatives abroad. This informal market system has become an essential part of everyday life, fostering a sense of community and resourcefulness. One of the most fascinating aspects of Cuban society is how people adapt to these shortages. The resolver mentality, literally meaning to resolve or figure it out, has become a way of life. Whether it's fixing an old car with makeshift parts or finding ways to stretch food supplies, Cubans are experts at making do with what they have. This resourcefulness is a key part of how they survive in a system where official channels often fall short. Additionally, the rise of paladares, privately run restaurants, and casas particulares, private guest houses, has offered a glimpse into how entrepreneurship has found a foothold in this socialist country. These businesses are often family-run and operate in a gray area between legal and informal, providing an alternative source of income for Cubans while also giving tourists a more authentic experience. However, running a private business in Cuba is not without its challenges. Owners must navigate strict government regulations, steep taxes, and the ever-present threat of fines or shutdowns. Despite these obstacles, many Cubans see these businesses as their best chance for financial independence in a country where opportunities are limited. Beauty and survival, the Cuban woman's challenge. For many Cuban women, maintaining their beauty is part of their identity, but it comes with significant challenges. Products like hair dye can cost up to a third of their monthly salary, forcing them to rely on relatives abroad or save for months to afford even basic items. Despite these hurdles, Cuban women are remarkably resourceful, managing households and ensuring their family's well-being while maintaining their appearances, a testament to their resilience. In Cuba, beauty standards remain important, and women take great pride in their appearance. However, the lack of access to cosmetics and beauty products makes it difficult to keep up with these standards. Many women rely on mullahs, individuals who smuggle goods into the country, to obtain products that are otherwise unavailable. These black market transactions, while risky, are essential for many Cuban women who want to maintain their image in a society that places high value on physical appearance. The challenge of maintaining beauty in such an economically strained country has led to creativity. Many Cuban women turn to natural remedies, using ingredients like avocado, honey, and aloe vera to create homemade beauty treatments. This resourcefulness not only allows them to maintain their appearance, but also reflects the ingenuity that is so deeply ingrained in Cuban culture. Feeding Cuba's children, a constant struggle. Parents in Cuba face heartbreaking challenges when it comes to feeding their children. School meals are often inadequate, with simple bread or tortillas as a far cry from the balanced diets many families elsewhere enjoy. The skyrocketing price of basic items like eggs and meat has made it nearly impossible for many families to afford nutritious food. The government provides subsidized food for schools, but the quality and quantity are often lacking. As a result, parents must make difficult choices about how to supplement their children's diets, often sacrificing their own food to ensure their children are fed. This has created a culture of sacrifice among Cuban families, where survival is a collective effort, and parents go to great lengths to shield their children from the harsh realities of scarcity. Schools across the island struggle to provide even the most basic meals. Bread, rice, and beans make up the bulk of school lunches, with protein sources like meat or eggs being a rare luxury. For many Cuban children, this is the only meal they can count on each day, and even then, it's not guaranteed to be sufficient. The cost of basic foods in Cuba. In Cuba, the cost of basic food items paints a grim picture of the struggles Cubans endure. A pound of pork, for example, can cost more than 1,000 pesos, a significant portion of a Cuban's monthly income. Many families turn to cheaper alternatives or rely on homemade goods sold by locals just to put food on the table. The high cost of food is directly related to the country's economic situation. With limited domestic production and reliance on imports, Cuba struggles to maintain stable food supplies. The government controls most of the food distribution, but inefficiencies and corruption within the system make it difficult for ordinary Cubans to access affordable, quality food. This has led to the emergence of urban agriculture, where families grow their own food in small gardens to supplement their diet. For many Cubans, this daily search for affordable food is an all-consuming task. Families spend hours visiting multiple stores, markets, and informal vendors in search of what they need. Sometimes, they must decide between buying food or other essentials like medicine or household goods. The constant juggling of limited resources is a defining feature of life in Cuba. A daily search for food. For many Cubans, each day starts with one goal: finding food. High prices, low supplies, and dependence on remittances from relatives abroad shape daily life. Stores known as MSM or MLC rely heavily on foreign currency, pricing most goods out of reach for average Cubans, making them reliant on relatives overseas to survive. The importance of remittances cannot be overstated. With wages in Cuba remaining low, many families depend on money sent from relatives abroad to cover basic expenses. This has created a system where those with family members overseas have a significant advantage over those without. In fact, some estimates suggest that remittances account for nearly 10% of Cuba's GDP, highlighting how essential this financial lifeline has become. In many ways, the Cuban economy has become reliant on its diaspora. Families send back not only money, but also vital goods like food, clothing, and medicine that are difficult or impossible to find on the island. This support system has helped countless Cuban families stay afloat, but it also underscores the deep economic challenges facing the country. Havana's hidden trash problem. While tourist areas in Havana are pristine, many neighborhoods struggle with waste management. Trash piles up on street corners, creating a health hazard for locals. The disparity between well-maintained tourist zones and neglected local areas reveals the deeper economic challenges Cubans face. The waste problem in Havana is a symptom of the larger infrastructure issues plaguing the country. The government's limited resources mean that services like garbage collection are often inconsistent, particularly in poorer areas. This has led to a buildup of trash in residential neighborhoods, contributing to health problems and diminishing the quality of life for many Cubans. Cuba is a place of contradictions, where beauty meets struggle, and the hustle for survival defines daily life. While tourists see the vintage cars, colorful streets, and smiling faces, the reality beneath the surface is one of perseverance in the face of scarcity. Despite the hardships, Cubans remain resourceful, resilient, and united by their shared challenges. If you found this exploration of Cuba's hidden realities eye-opening, please like the video and subscribe for more content. What country would you like us to cover next? Let us know in the comments below.